What's going on, everybody? LK here, back at it again with another video, and today some more Dragon Ball FighterZ for y'all. So again, since this last patch came out and now we've had it out for a while, a lot of people have been dropping tier lists. We've talked about this last week where I looked at a few popular players tier lists, but since then even more have came out, and then a lot of discussion has come out as usual when a lot of tier lists comes out about what's the point, do these even matter, this guy's capping, this isn't true, this character's better than you think. I wanted to take a quick second to just talk about tier lists in general, not any one specific tier lists, what they're for, why they're here, why do we need them, and kind of like what you should think about them and like how you should approach different people's tier lists. If you got a quick second, consider liking this video or subscribing to the channel if you already have not. It does help the channel grow and I do appreciate it. Thank you so much. So the thing about tier lists is that every season we've kind of gone through it, and before, you know, we had 1 assist, less characters, stuff like that. In season 3, the game is legitimately, and I usually use this as a meme, pretty open world, to use an old reference. This season is a lot about really trying to encourage people to pick any character, their favorite character. This is a Dragon Ball game. These are not like Lego Fighters or whatever, or just brand new characters. We've known these characters for a long time. So definitely, from both the player's perspective and the developer's perspective, one of the roughest parts about Season 1 and Season 2 is that the tiers are pretty tight. And what I mean is, especially if we go all the way back to Season 1, there are characters that are clearly better than other characters. In competitive games in general, one of the things you have to just deal with is that some characters are going to be better than others. It's just the way it is. Now again, in Season 3, they did a couple of things to try to really encourage people to play whatever characters they wanted. One, they added more assists so that everyone had access to the good assists that people really want to use. And the other is that they just buffed characters overall so that all the characters are viable. With that in mind, plus a recent patch, of course people are going to try to share their opinions, but one thing that I generally recommend to you is that when a new game patch, whatever, comes out and people are dropping these lists, just kind of take them with a grain of salt. It's pretty early. At this point, the player is just sharing what they feel is going to be important for this patch. It's not really like the actual factual tier list that totally 100% correct. These are the good characters, these are the bad characters. Especially for a game like Dragon Ball the way it is right now, tier lists are not like what character should you play. So especially in this game, Dragon Ball FighterZ, right, where one of the main challenges is putting together a cohesive team, you don't want to just look at a tier list and be like, oh, these 3 characters at the top, I should put them together. It's not that easy, it's not how it works. I can even use myself as an example. In Season 1, I played this team for an extended period of time. This is the team I played at the Summit of Power, right? Kid Buu, Cell, and Android 16. 3 clearly top tier characters that were really hard to play together because the team had no neutral at all. I felt like the game didn't make any sense because the team wasn't cohesive. So despite me playing 3 really top tier characters, it didn't really work that well for me. So with that being said, what are tier lists for? It's basically just talking about how strong the characters are in relation to each other to kind of spark discussion about what the game is about, what is important in characters, what's successful, what's been successful. You're supposed to look at them and see how the person who made it felt about things and just kind of compare it to how you feel and just line things up. To me personally, the most interesting tier lists are not just from popular, strong, competitive players, but also on a regional basis. The American scene values different things from the European scene, values different things from the Japanese scene. In Season 3, the way the characters are and the way people are playing the game, there's a lot of variance between what people think is good and not good. So if possible, try to use a reliable source if possible, and then just compare it to how you feel. You see this actually in tier lists I like to use for tier list discussions. I tend to use more established, well-known competitive players rather than pulling up on Reddit or something, which is not to devalue those style of community tier lists. This lets you see what the general group of players feel about characters. Now, if you're waiting for the actual who's the best, who's not the best, who's bad, who's good, whatever, you're gonna have to wait a few months. When we are as early as we are now, patch 3.5 dropped a little while ago, I guess basically last month. It's kind of hard to be these are the characters that are definitely good and not good. I usually think of it as people's impressions of the patch. This game has a lot of characters right now. There's 41 characters in the game, I believe, right now. So it will take a while for people to play many different players of many different characters and kind of start figuring out like, all right, what is working for this season, what's not working. So it'll be hard for people to justify totally why they think a character is in a certain position for quite a while. This is the main reason why, because a lot of people like asking me, yo, what's your tier list? All these other players have dropped tier lists. I don't feel like I can. I need to play the game. I got to play the game against a lot of people who play a bunch of different characters. Certain characters are really uncommon, and it's kind of hard to find people who play them. All in all, though, as long as you take tier lists at face value for what they are and don't like get too into it, then you'll be fine. I actually think that they're more important to a team game because there are more aspects than just the character themselves. You have to consider assists and how they contribute to the team and stuff like that. So it does kind of help to talk about these aspects and characters. Okay, I kind of wanted to just cover this topic real quick. I think tier discussion in Dragon Ball has been kind of more heated than in other games just because it's Dragon Ball, right? It's your favorite characters. You want your favorite character to be like the best and stuff, and you want to show off how good they are. I do think it's actually pretty important to talk about how the characters interact with each other in this game compared to other games. Like in 1v1, you know, you have your first impressions, and then since it's a 1v1 game, after a while, especially if it's like one patch a year, in like 6 to 10 months, you're gonna have like a pretty good idea of where all the characters stand. But I actually think as Dragon Ball FighterZ is right now, it's pretty hard to do that. So, you know, every time tier list season comes through, just see what points people are making, try to compare them with how you feel, and then just move on. I actually kind of like character hot takes because it makes me go back and think, oh, maybe I haven't totally thought about this character in the right way. Things like Kefla, like a character I talked about pretty recently, where I was like, oh, she's just kind of worth Bardock. But then after watching some people play, talking to some people, I was like, oh, I haven't really totally thought of her the right way. Actually, she's like her own thing. As usual, if you have any questions or comments, feel free to leave them in the comment section below. Like and subscribe if you feel like it, and I'll see you next time. Peace out.